Sarah Mitchell gripped the steering wheel of her Ford pickup truck as the Montana blizzard turned Highway 287 into a tunnel of white chaos. It was February 5th, 3 years to the exact day. Her hands trembled as she approached mile marker 47, the curve where everything ended, where her 7-year-old son Ethan took his last breath after the ice sent their car spinning into that tree on the passenger side, his side, the side she could not protect. She made this pilgrimage every year, driving 2 hours from Helena to place sunflowers at the white cross she had nailed to that cursed tree, crying for 20 minutes in the cutting cold, then returning home hating herself a little more each time. But this year would be different. This year, at the exact spot where she lost her son, Sarah would find another mother dying in the snow, another family destroyed by that same merciless curve, and she would face the most impossible choice of her life. What happened next would change everything Sarah believed about grief, about guilt, and about whether a shattered heart could ever be made whole again. If stories like this move you, please subscribe to Wild Heart Stories. Every subscription helps us share more extraordinary tales of the unbreakable bonds in the animal kingdom and strengthens our community of people who believe that love transcends all boundaries. Your support means these incredible true stories reach hearts that need them most. Sarah had survived the crash with scratches. Ethan died 3 hours later in the hospital while she held his small hand and begged God for a trade, for a rewind, for anything except the reality that was crushing her chest. 3 years of therapy sessions where Dr. Helen asked gentle questions Sarah could not answer. 3 years of her ex-husband saying it was not her fault before he finally left because he could not watch her destroy herself anymore. 3 years of knowing with absolute certainty that it was her fault. She had been driving. She had not seen the ice. She had killed their son. The snow fell heavier as Sarah pulled onto the shoulder at 4:14 in the afternoon, the exact time of the accident. She grabbed the sunflowers from the passenger seat, the same type Ethan had loved, the ones he would pick from their garden and present to her with gap-toothed grins that made her heart explode with joy she would never feel again. She walked toward the white cross nailed to the pine tree, her boots crunching through fresh powder, her breath forming clouds in the freezing air. Then she saw them. 20 meters from the cross, on the same shoulder where the ambulance had parked, while paramedics worked frantically on her dying child, something moved in the snow. A wolf. Large, grey-silver, lying on her side with 2 tiny cubs pressed against her belly, trembling violently. The mother wolf's flanks rose and fell in irregular spasms. Severe hypothermia. Sarah froze, her mind cataloguing details with the strange clarity that comes from shock. Large paw prints in the snow, deep and masculine, leading from the forest to the highway, then stopping abruptly at the asphalt. Skid marks. Dark red blood staining the white snow in scattered patches. A drag trail leading from the road back to the shoulder, where smaller paw prints appeared, uneven and labored, as if something heavy had been pulled with enormous effort. Sarah understood immediately. The male wolf had been hit. Right there, in that curve. He had been thrown 8 meters based on the blood spatter pattern. The female had dragged his body off the road because instinct would not let her abandon him in the middle of the highway where more cars could desecrate his corpse. But he was dead, and now she was here, at the exact location where Sarah had lost everything, trying to keep her cubs alive with a body that was failing, shutting down, surrendering to the cold that would kill them all within hours. One mother who lost everything at mile marker 47, meeting another mother who lost everything at mile marker 47 on the same date, February 5th. Sarah fell to her knees in the snow. The sunflowers slipped from her hands. The cubs, twin males perhaps 8 weeks old, tried to nurse, but their mother had no more milk. They were so weak their whimpers were nearly inaudible beneath the wind. The mother wolf lifted her head with immense effort. Her yellow eyes found Sarah's. There was no fear in those eyes, no aggression, no territorial warning. There was something far worse. Resignation, acceptance. She was dying, and she knew it. But the cubs needed help. Sarah's mind raced through scenarios. She could get back in the truck, call Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks. They would come in 2, maybe 3 hours given the storm. But with these temperatures, with hypothermia this advanced, the wolves would be dead. She could drive away, leave this behind like she tried to leave her own pain behind, pretend she never saw them, not her problem, not her responsibility. Then Sarah saw something that broke her completely. The mother wolf had not just been protecting the cubs from the cold. The paw prints in the snow told a different story. She had used her last remaining strength to drag them 3 meters closer to the road, closer to the cars, closer to humans. She was waiting for someone to stop. Just like Sarah had waited for someone to save Ethan in that ambulance, just like she had begged the doctors, just like she had tried to negotiate with God for a miracle that never came. Sarah acted without thinking. She ran to the pickup, started the engine, cranked the heat to maximum. She grabbed the emergency blankets from the cargo bed, the ones she had carried obsessively since the accident, always prepared, always too late. When she approached, the mother wolf did not growl, did not move, just watched. When Sarah picked up the first cub, frozen solid, lips turning blue, the wolf closed her eyes as if saying, "Yes, please, take them." Sarah wrapped both cubs in blankets and placed them in the back seat between portable heaters. Then she returned for the mother. The wolf weighed approximately 100 pounds. Sarah weighed 137. She tried to lift the animal and failed. The wolf groaned softly, but did not resist. Sarah realized the truth. The wolf wanted to be moved. She was asking for help in the only way she could. Sarah dragged centimeter by centimeter. The wolf helped weakly with her front paws when she could. It took 15 minutes. Sarah cried the entire time, sweat pouring despite the freezing temperature, screaming come onto herself and the wolf and God and Ethan and anyone who might be listening. When she finally got the wolf into the back seat beside the cubs, Sarah collapsed into the driver's seat, hands shaking so violently she could barely turn the key. She looked in the rearview mirror. The wolf had managed to turn her head toward the cubs. Her tongue, weak and dry, licked them gently. Her eyes closed and opened slowly, fighting to stay conscious. Sarah hit the accelerator, not back toward Helena, forward, toward Missoula. Toward the emergency veterinary clinic 40 minutes away through a blizzard. She drove with tears streaming down her face, whispering, "Hold on, please hold on. Do not leave them, do not leave, do not leave." She did not know if she was talking to the wolf or to Ethan's ghost or to herself. The windshield wipers fought against snow that fell like the universe was trying to bury everything. Sarah's truck fishtailed twice on ice, but she kept going, one hand on the wheel, eyes checking the mirror every 10 seconds to make sure the wolf was still breathing. The cubs had stopped shivering, which could mean they were warming up, or could mean they were dying. Sarah pressed harder on the gas. She thought about the moment Ethan died, how she had felt his small hand go limp in hers, how the steady beep of the heart monitor became that flat, endless tone that meant the end of her world. How the nurses had tried to pull her away, but she had clung to his hospital bed, screaming, "This cannot be real." How her husband had stood in the corner, face white, unable to look at her because looking at her meant confronting the truth that their son was gone and someone had to be blamed, and she was the one driving. Sarah had spent 3 years believing she did not deserve to be happy again, did not deserve peace, did not deserve redemption. But somewhere in the last hour, dragging a dying wolf through snow at the site of her worst nightmare, something had shifted. She did not understand it yet. She just knew that if these wolves died, something inside her would die too, something beyond what had already broken. Dr. James Reardon was closing the Missoula Emergency Veterinary Clinic when he heard tires screeching in the parking lot. It was 7:45 on a dead Tuesday evening. He watched a woman jump from a pickup covered in snow, screaming, "I need help now." When he opened the back door of her vehicle, he froze. A wolf, 2 cubs, all in severe hypothermia. "You know I have to report this to Fish and Wildlife, right?" he said, already grabbing a gurney from inside. "I know," Sarah screamed, helping him lift the wolf, "but first you save them." For the next 4 hours, Dr. Reardon worked with surgical precision. The mother wolf had a core body temperature of 89.6 degrees Fahrenheit. It should have been 100.4. Severe dehydration, acute malnutrition. She had not eaten in days. Every bit of nutrition in her body had gone to producing milk for the cubs. He started intravenous fluids, heated blankets, cardiac monitors. The cubs measured 91 degrees, hypoglycemia. The smaller one, grey and delicate, showed early signs of pneumonia in his lungs. Sarah did not leave the room. She sat on the floor watching every movement. When the wolf convulsed once, a violent spasm as her body fought hypothermic shock, Sarah screamed and grabbed Dr. Reardon's hand. "Do something!" He was already doing something. Dextrose injection, more warming protocols. He had treated hundreds of animals in his 15-year career. He had never seen someone fight this hard for wolves she had found an hour ago. At 11:30, the cardiac monitor on the mother wolf finally stabilized. At 12:15, the cubs stopped shivering. At 1 in the morning, the wolf opened her eyes. She saw Sarah. She saw her cubs sleeping in a heated incubator beside her. She closed her eyes again, but this time in peace instead of pain. Dr. Reardon sat on the floor next to Sarah. Both were exhausted. Fish and Wildlife comes tomorrow morning. They will take them to rehabilitation. You saved them, but you know you cannot keep them, right? Sarah stared at the sleeping wolf. "I just needed them to live." "Why did you do this?" Dr. Reardon asked gently. "Wolves on a highway shoulder. Most people would have just kept driving." Sarah did not answer for a long time. Then, without looking at him, she said, "My son died on that curve. 3 years ago today. I was driving." Dr. Reardon said nothing. There was nothing to say. "I could not save him," Sarah continued, her voice breaking. "But these I could save." The next morning, February 6th, Rachel Torres from Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks arrived at 9. She was professional, kind, but firm. "Mrs. Mitchell, protocol is clear. Rescued wild animals go to certified rehabilitation centers. The wolf and cubs will be transferred to the Northern Rockies Wildlife Sanctuary, where they will receive proper care and eventual release back into their natural habitat." "No," Sarah said. Rachel blinked. "Excuse me. Not yet. The mother is weak. The smaller cub has pneumonia. Moving them now could kill them." Dr. Reardon intervened. "She is right. Medically speaking, transport now would be high risk. I recommend 72 hours of stabilization before any movement." Rachel sighed. She saw this often. People bonding with animals they should not bond with. 3 days, then they go to rehabilitation. "And Mrs. Mitchell, you understand you cannot visit them there, correct? We need to minimize human contact for future release." Sarah swallowed hard. 3 days. During those 3 days, something fundamental changed in Sarah Mitchell. She did not return to Helena. She rented a room at the motel beside the clinic. She spent 16 hours a day in the recovery room. Dr. Reardon allowed it because she was extraordinarily helpful, but the truth was, he recognized she needed this more than the wolves needed her. Sarah learned to prepare the special formula for the cubs. Goat milk, supplements, proteins. Every 4 hours she fed them with tiny bottles. The cubs sucked with surprising strength, their little paws pushing at air. She named them in her mind, knowing she should not, but unable to stop herself. Ash, the larger one, dark grey, brave. Echo, the smaller one, light grey, the one with pneumonia, more cautious, more fragile. The mother wolf, Sarah called her Luna only in her thoughts, recovered slowly. On day 2, she stood for the first time. On day 3, she ate raw meat, tearing into deer flesh with teeth made for survival. There was a moment on the second day that destroyed Sarah. She was feeding Echo. The cub finished his bottle, and with his belly full and warm, he yawned and fell asleep in Sarah's palm, just trusted her completely. Sarah looked at that tiny ball of grey fur sleeping in her hand. She remembered Ethan at 3 months old, sleeping on her chest. The weight, the warmth, the absolute trust. She cried silently for 20 minutes. Luna watched from her medical bed, did not react, just observed. End of the 3rd day, Rachel Torres returned with a transport team. Time to go, Mrs. Mitchell. Sarah had prepared herself. She had lied to herself that she was prepared. When the fish and wildlife team placed Luna and the cubs in transport crates, Luna resisted for the first time. She looked at Sarah, pushed her nose against the crate bars, whined low and mournful. The cubs, sensing their mother's tension, began to cry. Sarah approached, put her hand against the bars. Luna smelled her fingers. "You are going to be okay," Sarah whispered. "You are going to raise them. They are going to be strong, and one day you will go back to the forest where you belong." Rachel touched Sarah's shoulder gently. "You did something incredible, but now they need distance from humans for their own good." Sarah nodded, did not trust her voice. She watched the van drive away, stood in the parking lot until the taillights disappeared completely. Dr. Reardon stood in the clinic doorway. "You want a beer? You look like you need a beer." "I need 10, Sarah replied. Sarah returned to Helena, to the empty house where every room still held traces of Ethan. His bedroom she could not bring herself to change. His drawings still on the refrigerator. His shoes by the door because moving them felt like erasing him completely. Her ex-husband had taken his half of the memories when he left. Sarah had kept hers like wounds she refused to let heal. She tried to return to normal life, managing the hardware store where she had worked for 9 years, grocery shopping, gym 3 times a week, therapy sessions every Thursday, where Dr. Helen asked, "How are you doing?" and Sarah lied and said fine. But nothing was fine. Something had broken open in her chest, and she did not know how to close it again. She felt the absence of the wolves like a physical ache, not the old familiar pain of losing Ethan. That grief was a constant companion, worn smooth by 3 years of carrying it. This was different, sharp, fresh, the absence of Luna, of Ash, of Echo. She picked up her phone 40 times a day to call fish and wildlife. Never dialed. What would she even say? In therapy, Dr. Helen asked about the anniversary this year. It was different from previous years. "How are you feeling about that?" Sarah answered slowly. "I do not know. I saved them, but now it feels like I lost them too. Is that crazy?" "It is not crazy," Dr. Helen said gently. "You connected your own loss to theirs. Saving them was saving a part of yourself. Losing them is complicated." Sarah nodded, did not mention that she dreamed about yellow eyes every night, did not mention that she woke up reaching for phantom fur, did not mention that the house felt emptier now than it had in 3 years. 5 weeks after leaving the wolves at the rehabilitation center, Sarah was eating dinner alone, instant noodles again, because cooking for one felt pointless. Her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Mrs. Mitchell? This is Rachel Torres from Fish and Wildlife." Sarah's heart stopped. "Oh God, something happened. They died. Echo died. The pneumonia came back. I should have stayed. I should have fought to keep them. The wolves are fine," Rachel said quickly, reading Sarah's panic. "Great, actually. Luna has recovered completely. The cubs are growing like weeds, but we have a situation." "What situation?" "Luna is not socializing with other wolves. The rehabilitation center has 2 other rescued wolves. We tried to introduce them. Standard protocol. But Luna gets aggressive. overly protective of the cubs. She will not let them learn natural pack behaviors. She keeps them isolated. Just the three of them. Sarah frowned. What does that mean? It means we probably cannot release her back into the wild. A lone wolf with two young cubs. The survival rate is 12%. They need a pack. But she is refusing to join one. She is refusing to let the cubs learn pack dynamics. She is treating them like they need to be protected from other wolves instead of integrated with them. So what happens to them? Sarah asked, something cold settling in her stomach. Permanent wildlife sanctuary. They will live well, but in captivity. Forever. They will never know real freedom. Never hunt, never run through forests without fences. They will be fed and safe and caged for the rest of their lives. Sarah sat in silence, felt something heavy pressing on her chest. Why are you telling me this? Because there is another option, Rachel said. Unconventional, very unconventional, and I will probably get fired for suggesting it. What? Assisted release. You would manage their transition back into the wild. It would take months. It is intensive work. It is isolated, and we have never done this with someone who is not a trained wildlife biologist. Sarah was confused. Why me? Because Luna trusts you, Rachel said simply. I saw it in the parking lot, the way she looked at you. 18 years doing this job, Mrs. Mitchell. I know when an animal has bonded with someone. Luna sees you as part of her pack. She will follow your lead. She will let you teach her cubs what she cannot teach them herself, because her trauma has made her too protective, too defensive, too afraid. You want me to raise wolves, Sarah said. Not raise, re-wild. Teach them to hunt. Teach them to fear humans again. And then release them. It is a pilot program we have been considering. You would be the first. If it works, it could change how we rehabilitate traumatized predators. If it fails, those wolves spend their lives in a cage. Sarah closed her eyes, felt tears forming. Where? Federal land, remote area in the Bitterroot Mountains, isolated cabin, no electricity except a generator that runs 4 hours a day, no internet, no cell service, just you and the wolves for 4 to 6 months. I have a job, a house, a life, Sarah said, even as she realized how hollow those words sounded. What life? Managing a hardware store, eating instant noodles alone, going to therapy to talk about pain she would carry forever regardless. I know, Rachel said. It is a lot to ask. If you need time to think. When do I start? Sarah interrupted. The Bitterroot cabin sat 3 hours from the nearest town. Rough timber construction, wood-burning stove, an ancient generator that coughed and wheezed when it ran, solar panels that provided enough power for lights, and a refrigerator, nothing more. Sarah arrived in early March with Luna and the cubs, now 14 weeks old and the size of medium dogs, in a large transport crate. Rachel stayed for 3 days to train Sarah on protocols. You minimize physical contact, no petting, no human affection. You are the food provider, not the friend. You are teaching them that humans mean food now, but will not always mean food. They need to learn to find their own. Understood? Sarah nodded. This would be harder than she thought. The first weeks were brutal in ways Sarah had not anticipated. She woke at 5 in the morning, hiked 8 kilometers through forest, placing deer carcasses provided by Fish and Wildlife in specific locations. Luna needed to relearn how to hunt. She had been a skilled hunter before the accident, but trauma and maternal desperation had overridden her instincts. Now Sarah had to reignite them. At first, Luna only ate what Sarah left directly outside the cabin, but slowly, following Rachel's instructions, Sarah left the food farther away. More hidden, Luna had to search, had to work, had to remember what it meant to hunt instead of scavenge. One morning in late March, Sarah watched from 200 meters away through binoculars as Luna taught Ash and Echo to follow scent trails. The cubs stumbled, got distracted by butterflies and interesting rocks. Luna corrected them with nose nudges and soft growls. Sarah smiled behind her binoculars, felt pride that was not hers to feel. They were not her children. But watching them learn felt like watching something beautiful be born. In April, everything changed. Sarah was returning to the cabin at dusk when she heard howling, not distress, victory. She ran toward the sound. Through her night vision binoculars, she saw Luna and the cubs surrounding a rabbit. Ash had lunged too early and missed, but Echo had waited, watched, learned. On his second attempt, he caught it, his first real hunt. Luna howled. The others joined. Sarah, hidden behind a tree 100 meters away, cried with pride she had no right to feel. As spring turned to early summer, the distance between Sarah and the wolves grew exactly as it should, and it broke Sarah's heart in ways she had not prepared for. Luna stopped approaching the cabin. The cubs followed their mother's lead. They slept deeper in the forest now, hunted on their own more frequently. When Sarah left food, which became less and less often, they sometimes did not even come. They had found their own meals. One evening in late May, Sarah saw Luna watching her from the tree line, just standing there, observing, like a slow goodbye. Sarah waved, stupid she knew, but she waved anyway. Luna turned and disappeared into the darkness. Sarah stood alone in the clearing and let herself cry for the first time since arriving at the cabin. She had been so focused on teaching the wolves to be wild again that she had not processed what that meant. It meant losing them, permanently this time. No visits, no updates, no way to know if they survived or thrived or died in their first winter. She would release them, and they would vanish into thousands of acres of wilderness, and she would never see them again. Sarah realized she was grieving a loss that had not happened yet, grieving while the wolves were still technically hers to protect. But they were not hers. They never had been. She was just the bridge between captivity and freedom. Her job was to make herself obsolete, and she was succeeding. In early June, Rachel returned for evaluation. She spent 2 days observing, testing, watching Luna hunt successfully, watching the cubs work together to corner prey, watching all three avoid the cabin except for occasional distant sightings. Finally, Rachel sat with Sarah by the fire. "They are ready," Rachel said. "Luna is hunting successfully. The cubs have learned. They avoid humans now. Well, except you. But you are leaving so that problem solves itself. It is time." Sarah had known this day would come, still hurt like hell. "Where? You choose, within 50 miles of here, wherever you think they have the best chance." Sarah did not hesitate. "I know exactly where. February 5th, 4 years since Ethan died, 1 year since finding Luna." Sarah drove her pickup truck down Montana Highway 287 with 3 transport crates in the back. Luna, Ash, Echo. She did not look in the rearview mirror. If she looked, she would cry, and she needed to drive. When she reached mile marker 47, the curve where everything had ended and begun again, she stopped. The white cross was still nailed to the tree. Sarah opened the crate doors, stepped back, waited. Luna emerged first, smelled the air, recognized this place, knew this place. This was where it all started, where she lost everything, where a stranger in the snow had chosen to save instead of abandon. Ash and Echo emerged, already large, powerful, magnificent. They looked at Sarah one last time. Their yellow eyes, so much like their mother's, held intelligence and memory, and something that looked almost like gratitude, but Sarah knew she was projecting human emotions onto wild animals who owed her nothing. Sarah wanted to speak, wanted to say thank you, wanted to say I love you, wanted to say you saved me as much as I saved you. But she said nothing, because they were not hers anymore. Never had been. Luna took one step toward the forest, stopped, looked back. Her yellow eyes met Sarah's brown ones. Sarah swore she saw gratitude there. Impossible. but she saw it anyway. Luna howled, a sound that echoed through the mountains and made Sarah's chest ache with beauty and loss. Ash and Echo joined, three voices rising into the February sky. Then they turned and ran into the forest. Within seconds they were gone, vanished into the trees like they had never existed. Sarah stood alone on the shoulder of Highway 287. Snow began to fall. She walked to the white cross, placed fresh sunflowers at its base like she did every year. But this year she also placed something new. A small wooden carving of 3 wolves she had made during the long, isolated months in the cabin. She set it beside Ethan's flowers. When she walked back to her truck, she heard it. Howling, distant but unmistakable. 3 howls, Luna, Ash, Echo, telling her they were okay, telling her goodbye, telling her thank you in the only language they had. Sarah got in her truck, started the engine. For the first time in 4 years, driving past mile marker 47, she did not feel only pain. She felt something else, something fragile and new and terrifying. She felt peace. Sarah did not return to Helena immediately after releasing the wolves. She drove to a truck stop 20 miles down the highway and sat in the parking lot for 3 hours, engine running, heater on, staring at nothing. Other drivers came and went, families with children, truckers getting coffee, people with destinations and purposes. Sarah had neither. She pulled out her phone, no service this far from town. She was grateful. If she had service, she would call Rachel and ask, "Are they okay? Have you seen them? Can you check on them?" She would embarrass herself with need. Better to sit here in silence with the ghosts of wolves and the ghost of her son and figure out what came next. What came next was this. Sarah drove back to Helena, walked into her empty house, looked at Ethan's room with the door closed like always, and for the first time in 4 years, she opened it. The smell hit her immediately. Little boy, crayons, that specific scent of childhood that manufacturers could never replicate in candles. She sat on his small bed, surrounded by his toys and drawings and books, and she cried. But this time the crying felt different. Not the desperate sobbing of early grief. Not the numb emptiness of year 2 and 3. This was softer, sadder, but somehow cleaner. She whispered to the empty room, "I will always love you. I will always miss you. But I cannot keep dying with you. I have to try to live. I do not know how yet, but I have to try." The next morning, Sarah called her boss at the hardware store. "I need to take some time. Personal leave. I do not know how long." He was understanding, told her to take what she needed. She had been a model employee for 9 years. She had earned some grace. Then Sarah did something she had not done since the accident. She went to the animal shelter in Helena, walked through rows of kennels with dogs barking and jumping and begging for attention. She stopped at a cage in the back corner, an older dog, maybe 8 or 9 years, black lab mix, graying around the muzzle. Calm, not jumping or barking, just sitting there watching her with brown eyes that looked tired. The shelter volunteer, a young woman with kind eyes, said, "That is Duke. He came in 6 months ago. Owner died. No family wanted him. He is a good boy, but people want puppies, you know. He probably will not get adopted. Too old, too quiet." Sarah asked, "Can I meet him?" They put her in a small room, brought Duke in. He walked slowly. Arthritis, probably. He sat in front of Sarah, did not jump on her, did not lick her, just sat and looked at her like he was asking, "Are you sure about this?" Sarah put her hand on his head. He leaned into it gently. She started crying. Duke did not move, just let her cry while she touched his soft fur. "I will take him," Sarah said. The volunteer looked surprised. "Really? He is not. I mean, he is great. But he is old, and he probably has medical issues, and—" "I will take him," Sarah repeated. Duke changed things in ways Sarah had not expected. He did not replace Ethan. Nothing could. He did not replace the wolves. But he gave her routine. She had to wake up for him, feed him, walk him, clean up after him. Someone needed her. Not the desperate need of dying wolves in the snow, just the quiet daily need of an old dog who wanted breakfast and a gentle walk and someone to sit with in the evenings. Sarah started running again, something she had done before Ethan was born but had abandoned after the accident. She started with 1 mile. Her lungs burned, her legs ached. She had let herself decay for 4 years. But she pushed through, added distance slowly. Duke could not run with her anymore, but he waited patiently at home. She always came back. In April, Sarah made a decision. She quit her job at the hardware store, used savings to enroll in online courses for wildlife rehabilitation. If she was going to do this, really do this, she needed proper training. Rachel had taken a chance on her with the wolves. Sarah wanted to earn that trust, wanted to be worthy of it. The coursework was harder than expected. Biology, animal behavior, veterinary basics. Sarah studied at her kitchen table with Duke sleeping at her feet. Some nights she wanted to quit, felt too old, too broken, too stupid to learn new things. But she thought about Luna fighting hypothermia to keep her cubs alive. If a wolf could do that, Sarah could pass a damn exam. In June, Rachel called, just checking in. "How are you doing?" Sarah was honest. "Some days are good, some days are hard. I am trying to build something new. I do not know what yet, but I am trying. That is all any of us can do," Rachel said. Then carefully, "Do you want to know about the wolves?" Sarah had been waiting for this question for 4 months. Part of her wanted to know desperately. Part of her was terrified of the answer. "Yes, we have not seen them," Rachel said, "which is good. That is what we want. No sightings means they are avoiding humans successfully, but there have been reports. Hunters have spotted a female with 2 juveniles about 30 miles northeast of the release site, moving together, hunting successfully based on elk carcasses we found. It matches their description." "They are alive," Sarah whispered. "They are thriving," Rachel corrected. "You did that. You gave them a chance and they took it. You should be proud." Sarah was proud and heartbroken and grateful and sad. All of it at once. "Thank you for telling me. Thank you for saving them," Rachel said quietly. Not many people would have stopped. After they hung up, Sarah sat with Duke and told him about the wolves. He listened patiently like dogs do, did not understand the words, but understood the emotion. Rested his head on her leg in solidarity. Sarah scratched behind his ears and felt for the first time in years like maybe she was going to be okay. Summer turned to fall. Sarah finished her first round of wildlife rehabilitation courses, started volunteering at a local wildlife rescue on weekends, mostly birds, some small mammals, nothing as dramatic as wolves, but she learned, she grew. She met other people who cared about broken things and worked to fix them. She made a friend named Maria who ran the rescue and who invited Sarah to her house for dinner parties where people laughed and told stories and included Sarah in conversations like she was a person worth including. In November, Sarah went on a date, first one since the divorce. A man named Thomas who worked at the library. They had coffee, talked about books. He made her laugh twice. Sarah went home feeling guilty, like laughing was betraying Ethan's memory. But Duke looked at her expectantly, ready for their evening walk, and Sarah realized Ethan would have wanted her to laugh. He had loved her laugh, used to do silly dances just to make her smile. She cried that night, but it was okay. The crying was becoming less frequent, less consuming. In December, Sarah decorated for Christmas for the first time since the accident. Just a small tree, some lights, nothing elaborate, but it was something. Duke seemed confused by the tree, but accepted it as a weird human thing. On Christmas morning, Sarah ate pancakes and watched old movies and felt almost normal, almost peaceful. January came. She passed her wildlife rehabilitation certification exam. Rachel sent flowers with a note that said, "I knew you could do it." Sarah framed the certificate and hung it in her kitchen, first accomplishment in years that had nothing to do with surviving. It was about building, growing, becoming something new from the wreckage of what she had been. February 5th arrived, 5 years since Ethan died. Sarah woke up and felt the familiar dread. The day that marked everything. The day that split her life into before and after. But this year felt different. She had survived 4 February 5ths, drowning in guilt and pain. This one, she was standing, barely, but standing. She drove to mile marker 47 like always, brought sunflowers like always. But this year she also brought the wooden wolf carving from last year and a new one she had made. 4 wolves now, Luna, Ash, Echo, and a 4th, smaller one, for Ethan. Because he had loved animals, would have loved this story, would have begged her to tell it over and over at bedtime. Sarah placed the flowers and the carvings at the base of the tree. Stood there in the cold February morning. No snow this year, just grey sky and bare trees and the sound of cars passing on the highway. She talked to Ethan like she sometimes did, told him about the wolves, about Duke, about going back to school, about trying to be a person again. I am not okay, she said quietly. I do not know if I will ever be okay, but I am better. I am trying. I hope that is enough. I hope you would be proud. I hope you understand. I will always love you, always miss you. But I have to keep living. I have to try. She turned to walk back to her truck and froze. On the opposite side of the highway, barely visible in the tree line, 3 shapes, grey and large and unmistakable, wolves, standing perfectly still, watching her. One in the center, larger, 2 flanking, nearly as big now. Sarah's heart stopped. Luna, Ash, Echo. It could not be. The odds were impossible. 30 miles from here, thousands of acres of wilderness. Why would they be here? Why today? It made no sense, but she knew, the way you know things in dreams, the way instinct sometimes speaks louder than logic. They were here because this place meant something, to all of them. This was where they had met, where their stories had collided, where grief and hope had chosen each other in the snow. Luna, if it was Luna, Sarah could not be certain, but her heart insisted it was, took 1 step forward. Her cubs, no longer cubs but nearly full-grown, powerful and wild and perfect, stayed close. They watched Sarah. No fear, no aggression, just acknowledgement. We see you. We remember. We are okay. Sarah raised one hand, whispered across the highway, knowing they could not hear her words, but hoping they understood the emotion. Thank you for saving me, for giving me a reason to fight, for showing me that broken things can heal if you are patient enough and brave enough and willing to do the work. The wolves stood for another moment, then Luna turned. Ash and Echo followed. They disappeared into the forest like smoke, like they had never been there at all. Sarah stood alone on the shoulder. Cars passed, drivers oblivious to the miracle that had just occurred. Sarah got in her truck, sat with her hands on the steering wheel, started crying. But this time, she was smiling through the tears. She drove home to Helena, to Duke waiting by the door, to a life that was small and quiet, but hers, to a future that was uncertain but possible. To the work of continuing to heal, slowly, one day at a time, knowing that grief never fully ends, but transforms into something you can carry without it destroying you. Sarah had learned something in the last year, learned it from a wolf dying in the snow who refused to give up on her cubs, learned it from 2 baby wolves who fought hypothermia with nothing but instinct and will, learned it from an old dog who needed someone as much as she needed him. She learned that survival is not weakness, that continuing to breathe after the worst has happened is not betrayal, that building a new life from the ruins of the old one is not forgetting. It is honoring. It is saying, yes, that mattered, that person mattered, that love mattered so much that I will carry it forward into whatever comes next. On the drive home, Sarah stopped at a coffee shop, ordered a latte. sat by the window watching people walk past. Normal people with normal problems. And for the first time in 5 years, Sarah felt like she might eventually become one of them. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. She would never be who she was before the accident. That Sarah died with Ethan. But maybe this new Sarah, scarred and broken and slowly rebuilding, could learn to be happy again, could learn to laugh without guilt, could learn to live with grief instead of being consumed by it. She thought about Luna running through forests 30 miles away, teaching her grown cubs to hunt, to survive, to thrive, living the life Sarah had fought to give her, free, wild, unbroken, despite everything. If Luna could do it, Sarah could too. Different journeys, different species, same lesson. You survive by putting one paw, one foot, one breath in front of the other. You survive by accepting help when it is offered. You survive by choosing every single day to keep going even when giving up would be easier. Sarah finished her coffee, drove home, fed Duke, made dinner, did laundry, normal things, small things. Things that used to feel pointless now felt like victory. She was alive. She was trying. That was enough. For today, it was enough. Tomorrow she would try again, and the day after, and the day after that. One day at a time, one breath at a time, building something new from the wreckage. Just like Luna had, just like the wolves had, just like every broken thing that chooses to heal instead of stay shattered. Sarah Mitchell was learning to live again, and that in the end was everything.